Hi, I'm Tara Andrews, owner and CEO of Joyful Coaching, and I want to welcome you to part 2 of How to Be a Better Boss. Today, we're going to talk about time management for managers. And we're going to talk about 3 things in particular. 1, in order for you to be more effective at managing your time, I want you to know your power cycle. Then, I want you to happen to your schedule as opposed to your schedule happening to you. And 3, I want you to know how to use your play jar when it comes to your time. So let's talk about those in turn. First, your power cycle. That's the word that I use. The more conventional term is circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm talks about that internal clock each one of us has. That internal clock tells us when to get up and when to lay down and when to eat, when to rest, when to exercise. All of us have a circadian rhythm, a power cycle, because there are some times of the day that you're up, and there are other times of the day where your energy is really winding down. But here's the thing, not all of us have the same power cycle. Some of us are like me, truly morning people. And by morning people, I don't mean that we're chipper in the morning. In fact, I'm not very conversational in the morning at all. But my energy is up. My creative energy is up. That between the hours of 7 a.m. and 12 noon, I am on fire. All of my writing, all of my designing, all of my organization goes into that slot of time. And if I can have that time uninterrupted, I can get more done in those 5 hours than a lot of people can get done in 2 days. And so I've learned not to schedule too much during those hours. I don't exercise in the morning. I exercise in the afternoon when my energy has kind of lowered. I like scheduling meetings at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Because I don't want to spend time in the morning when my energy is up on the phone. I want to be getting stuff done, crossing things off the list. I can do phone calls in the afternoon. And I want to be in bed by 10 o'clock. There are those of you, your power cycle is the opposite of mine. You are a true night owl. You don't get going real good until after 9. And at 2 a.m., you're just catching your second wind. And in the mornings is when your energy is down and when you really don't want to be doing anything that sort of requires lots of mental energy because your mental energy is just not there right then. Knowing your power cycle, your personal power cycle, will help you know at what time of the day do I need to do certain things. Why fight yourself trying to do a big, heavy project when your energy is low? Do that thing when your energy is up. Save those low energy periods for those things that require low energy. So once you determine what your power cycle is, then you're better positioned to happen to your schedule as opposed to letting your schedule happen to you. And this is what I mean by that. The biggest complaint that I hear from people who are in positions of management, particularly senior management, is that they feel like they have no control over their schedules. They're answering to that bill. They're answering to this bill. They're being driven by email. They're putting out fires. They just go day after day after day after day. They know they need to get this done. They need to get that done. And they know they did something for 8 or 10 hours yesterday, but they cannot tell you what they did and they cannot tell you what they got done. And most importantly, the biggest things that they needed to get done, they got pushed off for another day and even another week. Once you find out what your power cycle is, then I need you to happen to your schedule. If you're going to be an effective manager, you have to assert yourself and then insert yourself into your daily and your weekly schedule. That means you just can't schedule meetings. You need to schedule thinking. You need to schedule planning. You need to schedule when you're going to read your emails. You need to schedule when you're going to do social media. You need to schedule when you're going to exercise. You need to schedule quality time with your kids and your family. I know it sounds unromantic. I know it sounds kind of maybe anal. But the fact of the matter is that when you're frontline staff, You're only answering to one master, the person or persons above you. But when you're a manager, be you middle management, senior management, or president and CEO of the corporation, you're answering to many masters. Some of them are below you, some of them are above you. The board, if you're president and CEO. So you constantly have people pulling you in different directions. That feeling that you have of being pulled in different directions, that's very real. That's what exactly is going on. And that is why more than ever, you need to happen to your schedule. Since I have these people who are putting demands on me and these people who are putting demands on me, I now have to say, who do I answer to when? And when don't I answer to anybody? Fridays from 2 to 4, I'm not answering the phone. I'm not scheduling meetings. I'm not meeting with staff. That is my time for thinking. That is my time for looking over all of the projects, seeing where we are, coming up with the list of questions I'm going to ask about where are we with this, where are we with that, we need to get that done. But that's my thinking time. Do not call me. Don't bother me. They need to know the boss is off limits. And you may need to chunk out time like that 2 and 3 times a week. But even if you can only afford it once, you have to schedule that time. It's not just going to happen. You have to schedule it. Learn how to delegate. You don't have to be a part of anything. Learn how to say, I can't make that meeting. Can you go to that meeting and report back to me? And then I'll make a decision from there, what involvement, if any, I need to have from that point forward. My boss, and I'll give her full credit because this one isn't mine. She would sit down every Friday afternoon and she would make a list of 3 things that she wanted to accomplish by the end of the next week. And those 3 things became her compass. Regardless of what else happened, how many emails, how many phone calls, whatever other meetings she had scheduled, those 3 things were her compass and they helped to order her entire week because she knew come Friday at 5 o'clock, these 3 things had to be done. And she shifted whatever needed to be shifted and even let some things go in order to accomplish those 3 things. I want to invite you to do the same. If it's not weekly, maybe it's daily, depending on your workload. So I want you to know your power cycle. I want you to happen to your schedule instead of letting your schedule happen to you. And then finally, I want you to have a play jar with your time. T. Harv Eker, author of Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, teaches something he calls the JARS system. It's basically a way that teaches you how to have money for what it is you need today and have money for what you're going to need tomorrow. I'm not going to go through it in detail, but I will say there's one jar in the system that he calls the play jar. 5 to 10% of all the money you earn goes in the play jar. And the purpose of the play jar is to do exactly what it's called, play. You spend that money on whatever you want. Manicure, pedicure, vacation, shopping spree, that museum you've been wanting to go to, buying roses and flowers for yourself to beautify your office. It's your money. And the principle is this: we're all so responsible and we do such responsible things with our money that every once in a while we just sort of have these crazy binges. And the reason is we've constrained ourselves for such a long period of time. Eventually the locks just kind of come off and we go crazy. And so his answer to making sure that you don't spend money you don't have or spend it in foolish ways is to have some money always set aside that is yours to do with whatever you want. It's free money. It's like a get out of jail free card. You do whatever you want with it. It's your money. There are no constraints on it except for one. You have to spend the money. You have to spend the money every 30 days. You have to empty your play jar. I have used that principle when it comes to my finances, and I don't have time to tell you the difference that it has made. But I do want you to take that same principle and I want you to apply it to your time. I want you to set aside playtime. I want you to set aside time in your weekly schedule, if not daily schedule, where you know that this block of time belongs to me. And during this block of time, I'm going to do whatever I want and I'm not going to feel guilty about it. Because I already scheduled this, I've already scheduled this. I scheduled all the responsible stuff. This time is mine to do with whatever I want to. I can go exercise. I can go out to eat. I can go play tickle bear with the kids. I can go to sleep. I can veg out on the couch. I can binge on Netflix because I've set aside that time. This is my playtime. And as a manager, you need to have playtime. So much of your life is serious. So much of your life is about responsibility and accountability and performance measures. You need to have time where you can just unwind and let all that stuff go and just be you and not feel guilty about it. And you can do that if you have a play jar for your time, whether it's 30 minutes a day or 2 hours every week. You decide. Maybe it's a whole day during the week where you don't do anything that has anything to do with work. It's your play day. I want you to have a play jar when it comes to your time. So just to go over again, your 3 tips are, I want you to know what your power cycle is. And then once you know your power cycle, I want you to happen to your schedule as opposed to letting your schedule happen to you. And as you're happening to your schedule, be sure that you have a play jar for your time. Time that you've set aside when you can just simply play and not feel guilty about it. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll be back next week as promised with part 3 of How to Be a Better Boss. In the meantime, if you have found value in this video, feel free to forward it to family and friends. It's not too late for them to register so they can get the rest of the videos in the series. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next week.